Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Greg Bassett, your host for the Salisbury Independent newspaper, and today we've got the smartest guy in our community. He's here with us to explain to us what goes on around here. Dave Ryan from Salisbury Wacomico Economic Development. Welcome, Dave.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate you having me.
So you've been in the news this week. You just had your 48th anniversary. Not you personally, but your organization.
Right. We celebrated our 48th anniversary at Headquarters Live. We had a packed house from 5:30 to 7. It was a mix of conventional business people, a mix of entrepreneurs, some students in SU. I want to thank our sponsorships and sponsors for making that happen. So we saw a wide variety of interests in our program, in our community, and in business in general. So it was a fantastic event.
Now, forever, Salisbury Wacomico Economic Development kind of worked behind the scenes and did things to grow our community and did it very subtly. But you're out in the spotlight a little bit more. We know more about what's going on now. How has that changed?
It's changed a lot. The environment in which we operate has changed. The structure, the model of economic development has changed. A lot of that is social media. A lot of that is internet-based. I mean, companies are looking at our community these days, and we don't even know that they're looking at us. So, in times past, they would have to call us or visit us. And today, they know more about our community before they even give me a call or visit our community than ever before. The social media allows us to interact more with our constituents, allows us to reach different target markets, a very targeted approach, strategic approach to economic development. So if we go back to the model of economic development itself, and it used to be in times past, you would construct an industrial, you'd find 300 acres of farmland, right? Hopefully close to a municipality, so we can run water and sewer lines and roads and electric and gas and fiber and overlay it with a tax credit program. And there's your economic development model, right? Okay, that's what you were promoting. You cast a net to get a lot of fish. Today's a little bit different, where it's more place-based. So you would start with a sense of place. It's a demand for talent today that we're seeing versus in years past. So you create that sense of place. That's what Mr. Culver's working on. That's what Mayor Jake is working on. Let's create that sense of place where people want to be. If we can do that, then companies will be attracted to the area. We gain knowledge, a more knowledge-based workforce and more skill sets in the workforce, and that creates wealth. And not necessarily talking about monetary wealth, but wealth of skills, wealth of knowledge, wealth of diversity, so we can better withstand the various ups and downs of different economic cycles. So lots changed. We want to be more transparent. We still want to respect the confidentiality of our customers, and we still want to, we don't have to give leads to our competitors either. So there's reasons for that, but we hope we're a little more transparent. We want to be so, and we want to communicate even more effectively than we have in the past.
Well, part of the communication has been these videos that you've done, and I know you did one last year. You've got some new ones this year that I haven't seen yet, but you've got the one from last year, and it was about sense of place and who we are. And I know, just personally, I had a doctor friend who was trying to recruit a doctor, couldn't get the guy to come here. I sent him that video. He sent it to the doctor candidate. And the doctor candidate wanted to live here just from that video, which was some entrepreneurs that were showing that there are opportunities that exist here in our community.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. When Bob Culver was elected, he came into my office. One of the early conversations we had, he said, "I hate to be the one to break this to you, but people really want to see videos these days. They don't want to read as much. They want more bullets, more pictures, and videos." So we started this video campaign of 2-minute videos. And the first one, we showcased 4 separate businesses that are successful here, that have grown here. It was a large manufacturer all the way down to an independent photographer.
Yeah, Amanda Weaver, it was amazing. She shoots for my newspaper, yeah.
Terrific. Yeah. And they all have different businesses, different markets, and yet told the same story. they tell the same story you tell to people about the area. And our tax credit programs and our financing capabilities and our industrial parks and our ready-to-go sites, that's all important. But when someone's from the comes in from the outside, you're going to talk about the quality of life. You're going to talk about our school systems. You're going to talk about the fabric of community. That hasn't changed in economic development. And so if going forward, what do we promote? That's exactly what we promote. I think that's what Mayor Day suggested last night in the city address, or the State of the City address. So the first one was we're successful here and you can be too. The second one was perhaps the hottest topic in economic development, and that's attracting people to the jobs that we have. We do have jobs in this community. As I talk to employers, they're saying, Dave, we're having a challenging time finding that right fit, filling these positions. I talk to job seekers, they're saying, hey, Dave, we're having a challenging time trying to find meaningful work. And so what's happening in the marketplace? So we wanted to showcase that and how we can collaborate, but not just me, but collectively as a community. How can we connect people that want to work with the jobs that we have and give them the skill sets demanded by industry today? So that was our second video. And as you go through that, we wonder, say, well, how can we enhance the good things that are already ongoing? And then the third we released at our recent annual meeting, and that's on agriculture. We're seeing a lot of disruption in the economic base today, and I think that's what we're seeing in the marketplace. It's causing some dislocation, it's causing some angst, it's causing some uncertainty, but it also creates opportunity. If you go back in the history of our country, we started as an agrarian economy, went to the Industrial Revolution and the Information Age, and I think what we're seeing is a convergence of all of that.
Right.
And that's causing a great amount of change. And so how can we adapt to that change? What opportunities are there for us going forward? And we look close to home, so we focused on ag and the opportunities in the agribusiness sector, and people want to be closer to their food. They want to know more about how it's prepared and where it comes from. And there's great opportunities in the agribusiness sector. So if you go to swed.org today, then our video will be the first thing you see.
Yeah, our business model forever for Salisbury was farmers brought their grain here and would buy supplies, and then it turned into a retail thing. People would come from other destinations here to buy stuff, but they don't have to do that anymore.
No, that's we're seeing disruption in all sectors,
Right.
And it's media. You've seen it in media.
I guess they'll come here for education, for the community college, for SU, and for health, perhaps. But even that's out in the sectors now.
Well, it is. It's a different models, but at the same time, we're still a central spot on the Eastern Shore. I mean, in Wicomico County, we do, based on our population, we should do about $1 billion in retail sales each year. Instead, we do about $2 billion.
Right.
So there's an extra billion coming in from the outside somewhere. But to your point, we are seeing disruption in different models. If you go back and look at Main Street in downtown Salisbury, remember the Woolworths days, and
Right.
then Kmart came along, and the sort of the dislocation where it was taking place. Then along comes Walmart, and as they close stores across the country, Amazon's building 1,000-employee distribution centers. So we're seeing changes across economic sectors. The catch is, how do we take advantage of that change and create opportunity here?
Yeah, that's an amazing statistic. You release a lot of the economic statistics, and one is the average retail sales per capita in the state of Maryland is $8,000 per person. Mm-hmm. But in Wicomico, it's $15,000 per person. So there are a lot of people coming from somewhere to buy products here.
Well, and it's indicative of the regional nature of our economy these days. I mean,
Right.
The government says that we're in this metropolitan statistical area consisting of Sussex County, Delaware, Wicomico, Worcester, and Somerset, Maryland. It's the 42nd fastest growing metropolitan statistical area in the country. So that's why we have more people employed today in Wicomico County than ever before in our history. That's why our unemployment rate is 5.1%. However, there's still concern about how can we bring up folks that want to work and give them the skill sets that's demanded by industry today and into the future. And that's the number one topic that I see in economic development today.
It's funny, sense of place, and this goes back to an argument I had 30 years ago with Mayor Paul Martin. So when Ed Urban wanted to move Grumman here, in an interview with him, he told me that they had subscribed to the Daily Times for 6 months and a bunch of other newspapers. And they read it every day, and they got a sense of what the community was by reading the local newspaper, which just gets me all excited because that's what a good newspaper will do.
Sure.
And he was always impressed by the Parks and Rec opportunities that we had here, plus the entertainment, the nature, all the stuff that we know about. And that was one of the reasons that they decided to come to Salisbury to move the Grumman plant here next to where the Civic Center is. I told that story to Mayor Martin. He had heard the story. He said, no, businessmen are making decisions based on taxes and the quality of employees. They're not making decisions based on that. And I guess your predecessor, or two predecessors before, Bob Kiley, had the same attitude. It was like, we have to give tax breaks. We have to offer sewer and water. There's all kinds of basic things. It's not about, these are businessmen. They're not sentimental about where they live. Right. But now it comes around to, yes, it is. It really is about place.
Well, I think it always has been about place at some point. Look, we have to be competitive. We don't have to be the lowest priced operator on the coast, but we don't have to be the highest either. We don't have to have the most burdensome regulatory requirements. We don't have to have the most lenient either. I mean, we want a quality of life that we all enjoy. And my experience is, yes, you have to have the available infrastructure. You have to have available operational costs and the facilities and the sites and the access to markets and transportation networks and things like that. We have to have that. But we're human too. And we moved, I'm from Salisbury, and it's just a great privilege to market the community in my hometown. But we moved to Rochester, New York, and we picked based on, ultimately, I had to pick based on my customer base, but also where we wanted to live, where we wanted to live. And my experience is somebody is going to be highly influential in corporate relocations. That person will likely relocate to an area or move to an area. So all things being equal, and they'll find multiple communities with the existing infrastructure, the existing sites, transportation networks, et cetera, that will satisfy their particular requirements. It then becomes very personal. Okay, where will my kids go to school? Where will my kids play Little League? What kind of churches are available? What kind of home can I afford? How safe is this community? It becomes very personal. That's why if we go back to the first video, that's what our customers are saying. That's what our employers are saying. So I don't know that it's either or. I think it matters today. Probably more today than it ever has, because there's such a demand for talent and attracting talent to the community.
It's interesting you say that, because Rochester and Buffalo, of all the places I've been in America, those communities have the most loyal residents. They love their communities, and you can't say anything negative about, I guess it's because of the weather. They have to love their communities, but they're all very involved, and they're very special places.
They have a sense of place.
Yeah.
When we lived there, Rochester, Eastman Kodak was a big employer. Xerox, they've downsized a little bit, but they did have a sense of community there, and they had great school systems.
Yeah.
If you like summers, it was a long time between drinks, so I respected all of the folks up there. We had a great time for 2 or 3 years up there. Went to a Bills game. They didn't win, but they had such a loyal following.
Yeah, there's a very much the sense of place there. How has Salisbury changed in your life?
Salisbury it's gotten bigger, number one. The key for us in Salisbury is the fabric of community, and over the years, I was born and raised here, and raised on the really tennis courts of the old YMCA for a long period. And
I think of you when I go by there and see a parking lot now.
Yeah, and that's some things. But change is going to happen,
yeah.
and we understand that. And tennis itself, we can do that on another episode
right.
at some point. But long history in tennis, but it all goes back to that fabric of community. And I think that the challenge we've had over many years now is, as we grow, can we retain that which made us successful in the first place? And to me, that's that fabric of community. Being raised here, I just felt comfortable. I just felt I had a whole bunch of guardians. I have terrific parents, and just can't say, I'm just absolutely the luckiest guy on the planet. But in addition to that, we have a very supportive community. To this day, I see Mr. Sarbanes, who's my principal, or Mr. Culver, I've known for long before I got into the SWED work. So it's a place where you know everybody, and sometimes it's a place where you know everybody, and you got to say, okay, wait a minute, enough's enough. But it's that fabric of community that I think as we grow, the more we're able to retain that, the better off we're going to be.
Well, I think the tennis is important because as a kid, it taught me that Salisbury was capable of completely overreaching. We never should have had a national indoors tennis championship here, and all of us on the courts, we all grew up playing tennis. It was just part of our local culture here because of Bill Reardon and those things.
Sure.
And a couple years ago, I was in New York City and saw Frank DeFord at a bar in New York City, a restaurant, and went over and told him I was from Salisbury. And he sat there for 20 minutes and talked about, the great Sports Illustrated writer who covered tennis here,
Sure.
talked about coming to Salisbury in the 1960s, late 1960s, and how much the community meant to him, how it affected him 40 years ago, 50 years ago.
Right. Yeah, and as a kid, it was nothing for us to ride by Mr. Reardon's house, and in the back he had a tennis court right off Riverside Drive, and there's Jimmy Connors or Elaine Nasasi, and we'd go out and watch or hit a few balls, and we just thought, that's just
that was normal.
But it was normal. It's just what happens, and we didn't really see the bigger picture of the world. But it does show you, Greg, what one individual can do.
Yeah.
Imagine. Let's correlate that with economic development. Imagine the businesses here, the agribusiness, agriculture, ancillary businesses that can trace their roots back to the founding of Purdue Farms by Mr. Arthur in 1920. Yeah. Okay, and think of all the interactions we have. I can trace the roots of the microwave sector, that cluster that we have here, back to one individual who founded Mr. Bernstein in 1972, K&L. We have a growing life science sector here. I can trace the roots back to my friend Rod Chopra, who's in Westbury, New York. So one person, it just shows you one person can make a difference, and I think that's a credit to the community.
And we see that politically now with our mayor.
The mayor and Mayor Jake, he's a lot of ambition, a great guy to work with.
So far. We're excited to see what's going to happen.
He's not afraid to get his hands dirty either, though. But but there's that sense of fabric again. Before, we have a great friendship and a great professional relationship, and I hope that's same with the county executive and the county and every other municipality. We hope, but in Jake's case, I actually knew his sister before I knew him. She was our babysitter for years, and so we knew Randy and Debbie through Asbury Church and the AC/DC program and things like that. So it's been an honor to work with, over the years, lots of different mayors and city council people, and same thing at the county and the state level.
On the front page of the paper this week, we have a tribute to Bob Cook, who is the longtime Greater Salisbury Committee Executive Director. He's 90. He's just finally won the Salisbury Award. I don't know how it took so long for him to win it. He should have won it the first year they had it, I guess, in 1924. But anyway, talk about Bob Cook's influence on you throughout your life.
Bob Cook, he was part of Greater Salisbury when they founded SWED. We had a big plant close back in the 1967.
It was the Chris Craft plant.
It's Chris Craft plant on Moss Hill, and Mark McIver's taken that thing and really done a great job.
Talk about
with
entrepreneur.
You talk about entrepreneurship in action. There's a large facility that many communities would just let sit, but we have that entrepreneurial spirit. We're building that ecosystem here. But Bob Cook was so influential in the infrastructure that we have here today. Not just SWED, but really the Port of Salisbury and the airport, and two trains tracks that freight trains traveling through each day, and so that infrastructure hasn't gone away. It hasn't decreased in importance. It's still important. We just have to add to that. We have to add additional initiatives to attract talent to the community. One of those, which runs through his blood, is Warwick Community College, and that university is top notch. It offers real value for your dollars, and they can turn on a dime. So going forward, I think their role from when they were founded and Mr. Cook was one of the founders, is going to be even more important 30, 40 years, 50 years after they've been founded than they were when they actually were founded. So his tentacles go wide. He has a wisdom about him, but he still recalls the 101 of economic development, and that's pay attention to your existing business base first. And that's one thing I've learned from him, and I still maintain that today. And as a corollary, most businesses will generate 75–80% of their new revenue next year from customers that they have today. And for a community standpoint, most of our new jobs next year will come from businesses that are already here. So I would argue that one of the best things we can do to attract new businesses is to make sure we're catering to and providing service to the existing business community we have.
And he has a way of influencing you without you realizing that he's trying to tell you what to do.
Well, he's not afraid to say. He's not afraid to come right out, and I appreciate the candor.
Right.
And he's very forceful at times, and that's refreshing.
Yeah, I can just imagine him saying, "What I think you should do, Dave," and you going, "Yeah, yeah," and him going, "No, what I think you should do, Dave."
Yeah. Well, he's an important person, and a lot of institutional knowledge back there.
Well, as an editor, I have to give my ad people something to sell through content, and he helped to give you something to sell. So that on the checklist, we have an airport, we have a research university, we have a great hospital.
Right.
You know, we have these things that people who want to come here need, and it's because they had the vision to make it happen.
That and the ability to collaborate, the ability to say, look, we got to, and Bob would tell you, he said, look, it's not just me. We got the committee together. And he was very forceful in getting people together to make things happen. And so I've learned that too. Say, look, you can't do it alone. You have to reach out. You need some partnerships, and together we can build these things. And probably more of that than actually saying, okay, we need a community college, or we need this, or need that. It's that ability to gather the forces together for the benefit of all that I've learned a lot from him.
The biggest change, obviously, in town has been the change in manufacturing. How much manufacturing went on here doesn't as much now, but there are more people employed here than ever before, based on the stats, which is amazing. So the businesses have changed, but the old days of the big plant, are they gone, or?
Well, the mass production, what we've seen is an offshoring in our country of mass production, and they're following the cost of labor. So I think that's been the biggest change from a macro sense that I've seen in our country and in our community. At the same time, the country has about 8% of their jobs in manufacturing. Wicomico County is about 8% in manufacturing. The city of Salisbury is 12%. So on one, and it's very challenging to say, because I know we've had a lot of job loss and dislocations with those that loss of that mass production. Manufacturing, it's changed. It's more technical. It's more knowledge based. It's more efficient. And that recession really inserted some efficiencies if there were inefficiencies to be found. So what we're seeing is some plants that have half the people today than they had 10 years ago, but are doing 2 and 3 times the volume.
Right.
So a lot of more robotics, a lot of more technology. That's why the talent, Greg, is so important. That's why we're focusing so much on the training and bringing people up and lifting them up for higher wage jobs. So that's what I sense on the opportunity. But you're right, we've seen great changes, and it used to be we would bring in a plant 100 people or 200 people just about every year, every other year, every 18 months or something like that. And today it's far different. So we're focusing on that entrepreneurship, more nuanced strategies, more strategic targeting. You know, what would make a company want to be here? What assets do we have in this region that certain companies find attractive? And that disruption is also causing opportunities in that sector, and some in manufacturing. And a good example might be the poultry industry and no antibiotics. So what kind of feed formulas are being developed or manufactured these days to take the place of vaccines and medicines and things like that? So
even their innovation center up there is amazing.
It's a terrific,
Yeah.
and we're blessed to have.
They could put that anywhere, and it's
They
great
could,
that
they
it's
could
here.
put a lot of things they have
Yeah.
anywhere, and we're blessed that, again, it goes back to, I mean, we can't make a Mr. Purdue be born here. We
Right.
can't make a Mr. Bernstein be born here. But we can create an environment that promotes entrepreneurship. We can create that ecosystem, so somebody wanting to start businesses feels welcome. We have the resources to allow them to do so. And my belief is in the entrepreneur. Sooner or later, someone will hit a home run, and we'll see a great community benefit from that.
This week I was watching my favorite TV show, the County Council meeting on PAC 14, my favorite TV channel. And you popped up there, and this is another one of those things where you're humble. It was a little kind of a minor announcement that there might be some really nice jobs coming.
Well, you're referring to the RDI Wire and
Yes.
Cable Solutions.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately we had Labanal Power Systems announce January 14th in 2015 they were closing their plant. On January 15th, 2015, we started marketing that facility and marketing, more importantly, the skill sets of those folks that were there.
Right, so it wasn't really about building. It was like, what are we going to do with these people?
Well, it
And
was.
I love that.
That was the first. That was the first. Make no mistake, we will replace those jobs.
Right, I understand.
Make no mistake, though, our first effort initiatives were how can we help those people? How can we help them transition to new jobs? So we offered training programs, went into the plant, reached out to our employers that are in the community, and they were just terrific, and everybody wanted to help, and a lot of people did. So those over the past couple of years, they really wanted a new opportunity. I think they have that capability, and they found that new opportunity. You know, so during that downslide in the number of people there, we saw our unemployment rate also go down. We saw employment go up. So part of that was a broader economic recovery. Part of that was helping people transition to new opportunities. That being said, and I was here when Grumman closed, and I was involved heavily in that process to recruit an entrepreneurial company, which later became known as Harvard Custom, and then they
the Grumman
and then they sold. So
spun out.
The Grumman people that were here, they liked the community.
Didn't want to leave.
The kids were in the school system. They didn't want to leave.
Right.
They came to us. We helped them. It was a very challenging situation, Greg, at that time. Hindsight, it was a tad easier in that Grumman still wanted those cable harnesses that were being made. They just didn't want to make them under their structure. So they outsourced them. So we had work, and we had to secure the plant and some working capital and things like that, and we were able to do it. In this case, Lavinol still plans to keep making the cable systems and harnesses. It just wanted to do it elsewhere. So part of our effort has been to market that skill set that's still here, that's been doing business for some of the military and commercial customers for 20, 30 years. We still have that capability in this community, and that was the big driver for RDI. And typically these companies can grow not necessarily by onesies or twosies, but by 10 or 30 at a time.
And they're talking up to 50
depending on the contract.
jobs.
Up to 50, and it wouldn't surprise me to see them go far exceed that in the years to come. And stay tuned for more.
Yeah. So that was great news.
It's great news,
Yeah.
and
you did it very humbly, like you're doing it now, but it was great news.
it's great news because I think we'll look back in 2 years and hopefully in a few more months, and we'll see the strategy come together on how to replace those jobs. But it's not me. It's the entrepreneurs out there that's willing to take a risk. If we can help mitigate that risk, then we're happy to do it. But the county allows us to do that, the city allows us to do that, and the entrepreneurial community allows us to work with them. So it's really not necessarily me, I'm just a facilitator.
Right.
So we're blessed to have those partnerships. We're a small organization, but our wingspan is pretty broad, and that's the value of SWED, I think.
So there's also a lot of talk about wind opportunities for us making components here for offshore wind farms. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, and you know, there's some say, look, Dave, we're with you, but this wind farm is going to be a while coming, and others say it's the greatest thing, and we want to play a role in that development, regardless of what happens, and we're seeing that now. So, because of the wind energy, we were able to receive some training money to start a welding school in town. And so I think we've been through 2 or 3 classes. Governor Hogan was down to hand out certificates to one class. So we're running 10, 13 folks through there, and for good jobs, not necessarily in the wind right now, but in the shipyard or Exelon and Delmarva Power and some other venues. So the wind energy, whether we have windmills out in the Atlantic right now or not, is really benefiting us today, and we plan to continue to take advantage of that. We're well positioned, working through our region. It's more of a regional approach than we've ever taken on other projects, and you can see the benefit of a regional approach for wind as you gather 2 or 3 states together and lobby Congress, or the Triton program, which could be bringing 400 jobs at Wallops, and the same type of thing. So as a region, there's some opportunities out there for collaboration and marketing together, and we're proud to be a part of that.
Dave, thanks for all you do. Tell us your website again so we can see these videos.
SWED.org.
And they're
Thank you.
really worth watching. They're very inspiring. They really are.
Stay tuned. We have more ideas than we have time and resources, but we're gonna release those frequently in the months to come.
Thanks, Dave, for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Craig, for having me.
I'm Greg Bassett, another edition of 101 right here on PAC 14.
First Shore Federal is proud to support PAC 14 and one-on-one. We'd encourage every business to support PAC 14 and pick a program and support it, and let's make a difference.